Y'all, can we talk about the Scorpio full moon for a minute? Oh my gosh. I'd be really curious to hear how it's been going for you. So if you feel comfortable sharing, I would love to hear. It really hit hard for me and it kind of caught me off guard because as a Scorpio sun, I kind of thought that maybe it wouldn't hit hard for Scorpios because we kind of are used to living in this energy. Um, and so I don't think I was kind of fully prepared for how hard it did hit. I started feeling it the day before the full moon, which was Monday. Monday was the full moon. Then it amplified a little bit on Monday, even more on Tuesday, and a lot today. So today's Wednesday. So I'm hoping that was the peak for me anyway. And I hope that I got everything I needed to get from from the process because it's been a lot. It's been a lot. In fact, I gave myself permission to not be posting videos during this while I was integrating all of this because I could tell that it was going to sort of reorganize my reality in a little bit, in a little way, or in a big way. And I'm still making sense of that. There are some decisions that I'm going to be making in my real 3D world that are coming out of this full moon experience. And so it's really forced me, and this is really the purpose, but it's interesting to see it in action. It's really forced me to be confronted with things that are no longer in full alignment or that are no longer working or that are no longer sustainable, and let them go, and to really think about what the next section of life, the next chapter of life, what I would like for it to look like, what you would like for it to look like, if we're just thinking generally, and then aligning our day to day, our the details in the 3D with that, or else we'll experience so much pain and discomfort in our body, in our spirit, that it's unbearable. That's kind of how I was experiencing it. And at one point, it started to feel a little bit like a test. Like, am I being tested here? Because I feel like I was being, um, like my what is it called when it is your feet being put to the fire, or what, I don't know what the saying is, something like that. So I jotted down some notes and I wanted to read them because I am still integrating it. And I thought it was really helpful to journal a little bit. So I'll read a little bit of what I wrote. What you're experiencing is not a test, it's a slow, sacred shaping. It's what the mystics call a refiner's fire, where only what is essential, aligned, and holy can remain. A refiner's fire is not meant to destroy, but to cleanse and purify, removing impurities and strengthening faith, making it more precious and genuine. I, I feel like when I wrote that down, it was almost as though I was channeling it. It didn't feel like it was from me, and I do think that journaling is a form of channeling. I think that channeling can come in a lot of ways when we're talking to ourselves, and even just out loud when we're sort of like like going about our day and narrating or our inner dialogue. Sometimes I think that that is a form of channeling from our higher self, or channeling solutions, or there's a lot of different ways that I think that we receive hits of information that are meant for us. And when I wrote that and then reread it, I was like, oh, I needed to see that, and I need to read it again and again, I think, because if I don't remind myself that this is a refiner's fire, it can feel a little bit confronting. It can feel a little bit like, what am I doing wrong? It can feel a little bit like you want to internalize it the process, and make it about something that it's not. It's really for us. But, so some of the other words that I wrote down that were coming to mind for me just in describing it, and this will get to why I said but, because even though it is for us, it's painful. It can be painful. I wrote down healing, cleansing, forgiving, releasing, letting go, surrender, and that leading to grief. So, as we are refining and having to make decisions that align us with our truest and most full, authentic selves, with our full authenticity, in order to do that, we have to make space, and that does mean letting go and giving ourselves permission to grieve. Because every new page that we turn on our journey is a letting go of the previous page, right? And it brings to mind for me a lot the in tarot there's a card that people often dread pulling, and it's the Tower card, and it kept coming to mind for me as I was sort of digesting some of the things that were coming up for me during the full moon. And the Tower card is all about, it depicts like the tower of a castle being hit by lightning, and then the idea is that it's going to crumble to the ground, and it has like the king and queen falling out of the tower along with some other things. But there's so much imagery around how, things that we built with the intent for it to last forever when we built it, come down with the tower. In tower moments, those things that didn't have a strong enough foundation to sustain where you're going next or to sustain the life that you have now have to come down. But interestingly, what comes right after that card in the tarot is the Star. And that's one of the best cards to get when you're doing tarot. And the Star is all about wish fulfillment, because in the rubble, when you finally do make space and knock down what is no longer working, you can sit in that rubble and start to pull out the elements that you do want moving forward. And that forces you, that sorting process forces you to get really clear on where you want to go next, on what you want to build now that you have to rebuild, at least in this area of your life or whatever the case may be. And so it really forces you to dig into, that's why I was mentioning the word authenticity, to get super dialed in on your most authentic self and your most authentic desires for your future. And then to align the rebuilding of your foundation around that so that you can feel supported in the process. It's really beautiful. I love that. And also, nobody loves receiving the Tower card. And yet, this Scorpio full moon was all about Tower. Tower doesn't have to be a crumbling of your whole life. It can be a crumbling of a process that's no longer working, a crumbling of a mindset, a crumbling of a dynamic in a relationship that simply can no longer be. It can be the end of a relationship. It can be major tragedies. It can be an aha moment that reorients you completely in your mindset. But it's basically anything that just shifts the full foundation that a key aspect of your life was held on. And that's what this was all about. I am curious to hear how it's been for other people. As a Scorpio sun, what I've always known about Scorpio is that, and been really intrigued by, is that we have three symbols that depict Scorpio, as opposed to one, which the rest of the signs have. And the three symbols exist for Scorpio because Scorpio is thought of as the sign of transformation, which is all about death and rebirth. And I think those three symbols are really powerful to think about, contemplate when it comes to um, tower moments, to transformation in general, into the Scorpio full moon, if you're processing some of what you've been experiencing. So I'll just mention what they are. Of course, the scorpion is the first, and it's the lowest to the ground. It's representative of the most sort of like basic in terms of instinct, the stinger, the nervous system, the sharp nervous system response without a lot of process or delay. It's just sort of like act, act on instinct. Um, and then the eagle, which is a stage of development or transformation that takes the Scorpio or the human being from that more fundamental way of reacting to a bird's eye view, being able to hover above situations, see the bigger picture, have some regulation that allows for some pause and some like perspective taking to be possible. So the eagle is a wiser, more more mature version of Scorpio, or of that developing person. And then the third symbol being, sometimes it's called the phoenix rising or the dove, depending on where you're hearing about it from. And it is the final transition of development for a Scorpio or for a person. And it's the death and rebirth. It is like the tower crumbling to the ground, or burning to the ground, and then rising from that. Rising from that, really wise and really transformed by it, in a way that there's no going back from. And that's kind of where I want to close this, is that, like, if you've been knee deep in this process, just know that you're worthy of celebrating. You've transformed again. This is not your first time. And it's a beautiful thing, and it's really hard. And maybe you're in the middle of it, right? And I think that it's really important to take some time to celebrate everything that we've done up to now. Um, you're not who you were before. You're not. And I think not only is that worthy of acknowledging, but really celebrating. So much so that I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick a day and I'm going to celebrate myself, just by myself. I'm going to do something symbolic, maybe some sort of ritual, maybe buy myself something nice, make myself something special for dinner. I want to really like create something beautiful to send out the energy that that I acknowledge transformation is beautiful, and that I acknowledge it's been hard. Not just this one, but all the transformations have been hard. And that there's been blood, sweat, and tears many times. But look how far we've come. Look how far we've come. And look what we're capable of. Wow. Like, it's mind-blowing to me what we're capable of. You're amazing. I'm amazing. Go us. All right. I'll talk to you soon.